Welcome to Whitetail Rendezvous, hosted by Bruce Hutchin. I'm so happy you've joined us today, and you're going to find out a lot about whitetail hunting on the show.
This is Whitetail Rendezvous episode number 347.
On today's episode, we're going to have part 2 of Fit to Hunt with Jeremy Koerber. You know, you can be hunting mule deer out in Colorado, chasing elk in Colorado, or chasing whitetails any place that whitetails live. The most important thing you can be is fit to hunt. Why? Because it allows you to stay in the field longer. It allows you to stay mentally sharp. And 2, it helps you when it comes time to pull back and release that arrow. So listen up. Jeremy's got some really good tips, secrets, how you can be fit to hunt.
It's never too early to think about food plots. Whitetail Rendezvous has an ebook for you. Just simply text 33444 food plot to get your copy.
Hey folks, welcome to the continued edition of Fit to Hunt with Jeremy Koerber. Jeremy, we're talking about, and I brought it up, about the focus and how if you're staying mentally alert, it sucks the energy out of you. Why does that happen?
That's a great question. You know, the human brain and how emotions hit us. I mean, that's something I cannot pretend to be an expert on, Bruce. I just know that, well, again, we can go back to some of your examples here. On those last few days of that sheep hunt, were you as focused and as zippy as day one? Maybe you were, maybe you weren't, but there's reasons for that. Recovery, sleep, calories in, calories out, So I've talked to people before who have done a lot of these type hunts, and they will attribute that to running a marathon. You're up there, you have a certain amount of food you're going to take with you, and by golly, you come back weighing a little bit less than when you started that particular trip. So, the physical and mental aspects of how you feel and how it can drain you and what it can do to your focus, it kind of goes back to, our whole premise, which is if you prepare yourself physically, the mental aspects will come, you'll be stronger, and then you should be able to plow through and hopefully be more successful.
Now, if somebody wants to take a look at you got a YouTube channel, I know that. How can that help? How can that help them just by viewing that and not having somebody hold them accountable? Does that work or not?
Well, I think it does. And so I'll give you an example. So on our YouTube page, you're going to see a wide variety of exercises. So if you're looking for a new core exercise or a new leg exercise, well, certainly you can go on there and you can find one. We also will do short vignettes where we'll talk about specific topics. So, for example, I was doing a talk the other day where I was defining the difference between an exercise risk versus reward, because every day when I walk in the gyms, I will see people doing exercises that, number one, probably have very little benefit to them, number two, are quite dangerous, and number three, they're probably not ready to even be doing anything like that. They saw someone else do it, and they thought it was cool, but they thought it was going to benefit them, and so they're doing it. So we do a lot of clips and short series on, just the why and the how and the mindset, etc. Now, going back to the exercise. So if you go on our YouTube channel and you start pouring out exercises, that's great. What I always tell people, and I told a client this morning this, I said, this might be a bad example since we're trying to get fit and lean and eat healthy, but I said, if you're going to bake a cake and you're going to stand there with all the ingredients, but you have no recipe, and you just start pouring this into a bowl and you mix that and whatnot, you're going to get something, but it's probably going to be a pretty nasty tasting cake because you followed no plan. There was no recipe. There was no rhyme or reason to what. You just dump stuff in a bowl. That is what I see most people doing in a gym when they walk in there. They don't have an idea. They know the exercises that they know: bench press, bicep curls, leg extensions, or what I would tend to call the mirror muscles, the things that you see in the mirror. What's going to help you in those hunts? And it doesn't matter if it's a duck hunt, plodding through duck marsh, or up and down a mountain. You need the muscles on the back. You need the upper back, the mid back, your glutes or your bottom, your hamstrings, your calves. Those are the ones that are going to really pay off when you are needing them the absolute most. So how do you piece together a workout plan? What's your warm-up look like? What's the purpose of refueling? We use a I always say water protein, rest, WPR. Someone texts me that they're done, I text them back, WPR. That means water, protein, and rest. You need to start the recovery process immediately when you finish up your workout. So, there are, when people say, well, just give me something, it's like, well, it's a little more detailed than that. It may seem simple on the outset, but what we're trying to do is to piece together movement patterns, not body parts, movement patterns that are going to mimic as closely as we can the challenges that you're going to face in whatever outdoor activity that you're going to have. It's called specificity. So chances are, I'm not going to have you sitting in a leg press machine. You're going to be doing a split squat or some type of body weight movement, because when you're on that mountain, you're not sitting in a leg press machine. You're walking up rocky terrain, possibly slippery terrain, where you're going to lose balance on a regular basis. So how are we going to prepare those muscles and joints and connective tissue for the trials that they're getting ready to have? And that's by piecing together the right exercise prescription or recipe.
So let's think, okay, I'm Bob Smith. I live in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and I love to bow hunt, and I got some time off this year. So I'm going to hunt Wisconsin, archery hunt, then I'm going to slip down to Iowa, and then a guy invited me to Missouri, and I'm going to finish up the year in Ohio. So I got a month of hunts coming on. And I'm not small, I'm not big, but I like my Budweiser, not Budweiser. I got to think of the beer in Milwaukee that made Milwaukee famous, Pabst Blue Ribbon. I don't even know if they were in business, but it doesn't. Line of Kugels out of Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
There you go.
I love
that beer.
I love that beer, but it doesn't matter. So, but I love the cheese curds, and I love that. So I got a couple extra pounds, and
right.
I'm not walking or anything. So here I am today, and it's February 16th. My first hunt doesn't go off till the second week of September. But then, because of my work and everything, I'm on a quest. I'm going to be gone for a month. How do I get ready to do that?
Are you talking about exercising during that month, or are you talking about getting ready for it?
No, getting ready. If we got February 16th, I'm leaving. I'm packing the truck, and I'm going September 10th. So what are we going to tell Bob, from Oshkosh?
So Bob from Oshkosh needs to understand the first thing we're going to do is put you through what's called a base conditioning program. And so before we get fancy with different types of step-up maneuvers and whatnot, we got to focus on the basics, and that's push, pull, stand up. And then when I talk about working in different planes, like maybe some different core type movements that would challenge you, because you're not going to walk forward, backward, up, down. You're going to have to, twist from side to side. That's the most important thing. And what a base conditioning program allows us to do, by the way, that could be anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, is that allows us to build confidence. It allows us to build consistency, because if Bob has limited time, we're going to ask Bob to carve out a minimum of 30 minutes 2 times a week. Now, what are you going to get in 30 minutes 2 times a week? You're not going to take Bob from where he is right now to some type of world-class athlete, but you are going to improve Bob's conditioning. So you remember what we talked about in part 1? I talked about it being relative. If Bob's doing a whole lot of nothing, well, a little bit of something is always better than a whole lot of nothing. So by the time we get done with that 6 to 8 week time frame, what we need to do is to talk with Bob very, very, in depth and say, okay, this is what you've been doing. We need to take it to the next level, and we get Bob's feedback. Bob, I'd like to do X, Y, and Z. What do you think? And he's going to tell me, well, Jeremy, I feel like I could have at least another 15 minutes I could add on to each of these workouts. All right, Bob. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put in a few more core movements, and I'd like to put a few more things in for your lower body, because I know with your particular hunting, terrain, and style, you're going to need a lot of muscular endurance in those legs. What do you think about that? Yeah, I think that would work. So you agree, Bob, that this would be good for you? Yes. So now, first, what I've done is I've brought Bob into the decision making. Remember I said I'm a coach? A trainer is just going to bark things at you. I've made Bob a part of this process. I've got Bob's agreement and his buy-in. So when it comes time to hold Bob accountable in that 8th or 9th week, and I talk with him, hey, what's going on? Well, I didn't get here this week. Well, how come? Well, I just got busy. No, man, come on. My son says I don't know. You tell what's going on with you. And we start to peel the onion back. And maybe what we find is that Bob was a little aggressive in saying he had an additional 30 minutes a week. So what we do is we dial it back. We just dial it back. We might change up the exercises, and 30 minutes is all he has, and that's okay. My point is that to get him to go from February to that first hunt in September, whatever program I throw together. Bruce, I have written some outstanding exercise programs that have collected dust because the people aren't doing them. Okay,
I'm
so what
laughing
I've
because
learned.
I've been there myself, and I've paid
Oh
money,
yeah,
good money, when I played tennis.
absolutely.
Tennis, the trainer said, if you
Hmm.
did this, you could improve these. And I didn't do it. I just flat out
Right,
didn't do it.
right.
And I paid a lot of money for nothing, but it was on me.
Well, I always say that I apologize to all the clients I worked with early in my career because it took me a very long time to realize the difference between training and coaching. And as I, been doing this going on 18, 19 years now, as I've learned how this process works, and again, you're not going to save everybody. You're still going to have people that are going to come to you that want to do this, they say. But when it comes down to, okay, now it's 19 degrees outside and I got to go to the gym, man, I think I'm going to stay on the couch. You're still going to have those people. All right. That's just unfortunate. That's the nature of it. But what we try very hard to do is to make sure that whatever tactic or strategy that we utilize in our training programs is that we're trying to meet them at a place to where it's going to work. I'm not exaggerating. And if she listens to this, and I know she will, I will never call her out by name, but one of my most precious and dear clients, we started her with 2 exercises. Two. I have one individual that I've worked with that he had so much going on. We started out his training program. This is what it was. His job was to drink 10 ounces of water a day. And once he proved that he could drink 10 ounces of water a day, we chose the next tactic, which was to ride a bike for 5 minutes. And over the course of time, we built him up to where he had 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or more strategies that he was implementing on a daily basis. And we met him at a position mentally and physically that he could be successful. If you can help a person be successful in the most tiny thing, you can get growth out of that person. Again, I will repeat it. It's all relative to where you are and what you are willing to do.
Let's talk about hydration, because that's one of the biggest things. You go in the mountains, and yeah, you're hot and stuff, but you don't really realize how much water you're sucking into. And I got my Go bottle right here, and I have
Right.
a filter, and that thing was never empty. I mean, from the time I
Mhm.
left the trailhead to the time I got back to the trailhead, and then after, um,
Yep.
that was full. Tell the people the importance, no matter what their activity, if they're moving their body.
That's really huge. Think about this. I mean, when you become less than 3% dehydrated, by that point, you're not even really feeling real thirst at that point. Your performance is going to dip. And again, if you're a competitive archer, or if you're on that mountain, or in bow stand, doesn't matter. But you've got a animal in front of you that could potentially be your best buck, or your best bull, or your best gobbler. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you hunt. If you're that dehydrated, even a little bit, the chances of you making a miss because you're not focused is there. It's real, and I really wouldn't want to miss the trophy of a lifetime because I wasn't drinking enough water. One thing that, again, one of our partners that we are very proud to work with is Wilderness Athlete, and their hydrate and recover packets. I mean, they're phenomenal. They give you the electrolytes. They give you some branched chain amino acids. Um, Adding that when you're on the mountain or after a long, hard workout is something that we recommend to all of our clients. And the nice thing is the packets, they travel very well. And I bet you there's a lot of listeners right now, both whitetail and then mule deer elk, that are going to say, yep, those are in my pack too, because they are absolute money.
And, folks, it's just conditioning your mind to say, okay, my water bottle is never going to be empty. When I take that last sip, I go to the stream, I go to wherever water source I'm using, connect my filter, and load it back up. That's it. And you'd be surprised how much water there is in the mountains, how much water there is near your deer stand. I mean, it's there, and so you got to do that, especially all day sits. That's a hard thing to do, is all day sits with
Very hard.
and you got to have carbohydrates, and you gotta have water, because if I eat my sandwich, I just literally strap myself in with I get a seatbelt contraption, and I have my harness on, but I don't want to even pitch forward, and so I just strap myself in and go to sleep. If Mr. Wonderful comes by, well, he won.
He won that day. Yep.
Yeah, he won that day. And let's talk about specifically going back to Bob. So we got him 8 weeks, and he's buying into it. You're coaching him up, and you get that
Mm-hmm.
accountability. He's agreed to the plan. Now
Mm-hmm.
we're 8 weeks into it, so now we're kind of pushing into to May, June, and
Mm-hmm.
we got about 4 months left for Bob. What are we going to do uh, for Bob? What's Bob going to do for himself? So he a month, and the reason I said a month in different states is
Mm-hmm.
because okay, you walk out to dish stand, but all of a sudden you're traveling, sleeping in
Mm-hmm.
beds. You've got to watch your nutrition because I don't know where Bob's going to be eating. You got all these
Sure.
additional factors because he's not just heading home from work, jumping in the truck, going to the tree stand, coming back, sleeping in his own bed, and he's got his
Right.
good meals. So help me coach Bob up.
Sure. So what I would call a situation like that, we call it the in-season type mentality. So like, football players, baseball players, athletes, they don't train the same way during the season that they would do in the off season. That's just how it works. So typically what we're going to recommend for a person like Bob when they're actually in the grind of it, they're making the trips from Wisconsin, like you said, to Iowa, to Ohio, they're they're going for it, they need to focus on just trying to get a again, it almost falls back to that base conditioning program. Focus on your fundamentals, your pushes, your pulls, your stands, probably about 12 to 15 sets total. And we're talking about maybe 30 minutes. All right. If you can do that for me 2 days a week, then you're going to keep that conditioning level that you have. And it may not be as good. I'll be honest with you. During this deer season, from really when the rut hits in Missouri, and this year I mean, it was pretty hot and heavy from October, I would say October 31st till really about the time that rifle season started. I was getting about 2 workouts a weekend because I trained all year, my friend, for this time frame right here. And we hunted hard up and through January. So, by the time that I started back up again with what I call, because again, the new year, I'm no different than anybody else. Hunting season's over. It's time for me to refocus my efforts and get back to the level of fitness that I had. Well, yeah, I wasn't quite as strong. I wasn't quite as aerobically fit. And that's okay because I was doing what I needed to do all year long to prepare for that hunt. So as long as I could keep my base layer of conditioning going with a few workouts a week, then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I could go after it like I wanted to. Still get all my work done, still get all my clients taken care of, and then go out and hunt and use that conditioning that I had worked all year long to drag a few deer out of the woods. And that was fun.
Well, let's talk about dragging a few deer. I don't know what you got about 8 minutes left in part two. So let's talk about the 216 hunt and lessons learned and why you were successful or why you weren't.
Mm-hmm. Tell you what, this was without a doubt, in my opinion, the best year that I have ever had. Period, bar none. We, with the help and Michael Wardlaw of UC Hunting Property, he's been on your show. He and I are good friends. We work together both from a land perspective and a training perspective. And we had a lease in Pike County, Missouri, and it lives up to every bit of its billing as far as the deer, the volume of deer, and the quality of deer that are up there. So, towards the end of the season, we were still after a couple hit listers, but I was not going to draw back on anything because I had no room in my freezer. If it was going to go down, it was going to be one that was, we had to clear some room out somewhere because we had that good of a season. I was able to arrow a doe for some meat in the freezer. I got my best buck, which was actually an old warrior. He had gray head. I mean, he was going down the opposite way, but it was still the best buck that I ever killed. I missed out on probably a 145, 150, which would again have been by and large farther than anything I've ever killed. And it's bow hunting. It was October morning, first cold front that moved in. We had does running up and down all over the place. It felt like it was the rut. I mean, I couldn't believe there were this many deer. And I look up and I see a really good buck coming down the way, and he was walking. He was going to parallel right in front of me. So I picked the tree. That's the tree right there. When he passes that tree, every tree he was stopping, smelling, picking up a few acorns, and coming. When he hits this tree, I am going to draw back. He hit that tree. I drew. I got about 3/4 of the way back, and he didn't stop on that particular tree. Saw the movement, jumped about 20 feet off to the side where I couldn't shoot, and he walked away. Never saw the deer again. we've replayed that one over and over and over, and, there is no right, there is no wrong. Had he stopped like he had done on every other tree, he'd be on my wall right now. As it stands, I believe he made the season. He's going to be an even bigger one next year, and you know what? I know where he lives, so we're going to go after him again.
Oh, that's great. I just looked down at my counter. I'm going, oh, my goodness. We've been on this show for almost an hour. So, folks, this is the end of part one. Jeremy, just take a couple minutes and give some shout outs, and then we got to wrap the show.
Sure, absolutely. A couple guys I'd like to really shout out and ask that people follow, not necessarily guys for companies. If you're not following a wilderness athlete, and I know there's a lot of other companies that are out there, but I think that by and large, these are some of the best nutritional supplements for the outdoorsman you're going to find. Jesse Paulson, the rest of the crew over there, they are class acts, and they put out phenomenal products. If you haven't tried them, try them. Secondly, just off the phone just a little bit ago with Brian Ritchie from Stick and Dreams and Moon Stands. And again, an up-and-comer.
Props to him.
Yep.
I love
We're going to be doing some work. We're going to be doing some work with him over the next year. And again, the reason I love this industry so much is it allows me the opportunity to help people, period. The other thing is, I cannot say that in the 3 years we've been doing this that I've ran into one person in this industry that's not just a class act. I love it. I love the people. They're my people, I guess is the best way to put it. And I can't imagine ever not doing this.
Oh, wow. We went through a lot. And Jeremy, I just really appreciate what you bring and the knowledge. And listen, it's up to you. What you want to do. Jeremy's available, but do something for yourself. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of different things, but just make a decision and then stick to it. Become accountable, and then you won't believe the transformation you will have in your life. Forget about it. Honey's part of it, but just forget about it because it will help you transform your life, and you will become a person that maybe you never knew was inside you. And with that, on behalf of Whitetail Rendezvous across North America, Jeremy, thank you so much for being a guest, and I can't wait to have you on the show again.
Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate it.
Stay tuned for the next episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. We're going to connect with Richie Roberts, and he has Elk Creek Meetup, which is a YouTube hunting show. He lives the outdoor lifestyle. He's going to give you some top tips and secrets about hunting mature bucks. So stay tuned, listen, and learn how Richie Roberts hunts mature bucks.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.